Seth Cornwell. I live in Wellman. First off, I would like to thank everyone for allowing me to speak. I want everyone to know that I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I'm a law-abiding citizen who is exercising his right to keep and bear arms. This right will be infringed upon if this resolution is passed. The Second Amendment affirms this fundamental right of the people to keep and bear arms. It reads, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." Members of this city council are required to take an oath of office, stating that they will uphold and protect the Constitution. The Second Amendment is part of that Constitution. The current resolution to create a weapons-free zone is not only unconstitutional, it violates Iowa's preemption law, which can be found in Chapter 724, Section 28 of the Iowa Code. It reads, "A political subdivision of the state shall not enact an ordinance regulating the ownership, possession, legal transfer, lawful transfer, registration, or licensing of firearms when the ownership, possession, transfer, or transportation is otherwise lawful under this state. An ordinance regulating firearms is in violation of this section existing on or after April 5th, 1990 is void." If this resolution is enacted, not only will we be breaking the law, but the law enforcement agency that will have to uphold the laws will be breaking them also. I know there are high-ranking officials from this county that oppose this resolution. Let's show the people of Washington County that there is cohesion between our leading officials and our local governments. Rather than acting on a previous county attorney's opinion and agenda, let's put the horse back in front of the cart and realize there won't be blood on the streets, and accept the fact that there are law-abiding citizens exercising their fundamental right to keep and bear arms. Understand, there is no proclamation that a government can enact that can stop an evil person from committing an evil act. There is no law that can stop an evil person from obtaining an instrument to commit evil. Ultimately, law enforcement is not required by law to protect you. So why would anyone want to regulate the natural right of personal protection? You as the individual are the only one that can protect yourself. For the Riverside City Council to create such a resolution and rely on that criminals will obey a weapons-free zone is arrogance on their part. The motives of weapons-free zones are suspect at best. I come to you as a fellow person of this free state, asking you to rescind or repeal this resolution and not to violate the Constitution and the laws of the great state of Iowa. Thank you for your time and have a good night.
My name is David Tello. I live over in Joetown. I have a couple voices from the past for you. First is from George Washington. "The very atmosphere of firearms anywhere and everywhere restrains evil interference. They deserve a place of honor with all that's good." And of course from Ben Franklin, "They that can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Experience should teach us to be most on our guard to protect liberty when the government's purposes are beneficent. The greatest dangers to liberty lurk in insidious encroachment by men of zeal, well-meaning, but without understanding. That's from Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis. And Don B. Cates, writing on statistical patterns in gun crime, "Virtually never are murderers the ordinary law-abiding people against whom gun bans are aimed. Almost without exception, murderers are extreme aberrants with lifelong histories of crime, substance abuse, psychopathology, mental retardation, and/or irrational violence against those around them, as well as other hazardous behavior, automobile and gun accidents." Just have one or two more. Thank you. And I want to state that I mean no disrespect to this council. These are voices from the past and experience. The government and its agents are under no general duty to provide public services such as police protection to any particular individual citizen. That was warned in the Supreme Court. Laws that forbid the carrying of arms disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than to prevent homicides, for an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man. And that's from Thomas Jefferson's Commonplace book. I have quite a few more, but I won't take your time with them. I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you folks here this evening.
My name is Scott Clark. I live in Wellman. Thanks for giving me a chance to speak tonight. I just want to dispel a couple of myths about what this new law has brought to the state of Iowa. I don't take credit for any of this information. I do stand behind it 100%. This is from a blog from one of the Iowa Firearms Coalition members. The first one is the myth is that more people can have weapons that wouldn't have qualified before. The dirty little secret here is that under the old law, sheriffs could arbitrarily deny your permit for any reason known only to themselves. Some just chose not to issue them at all. Many of the people opposing this new law are liberals who would be up in arms if some local official had been allowed to arbitrarily deny voting rights or housing or some other benefit based on their own whims for fear that the decision might be based upon the applicant's race, gender, religion, or sexual orientation. But when gun rights are involved, nary a peep of protest. The argument often given is that sheriffs know the folks in their county and know the bad eggs or who shouldn't get a permit. So we should leave discretion to deny permits solely to them. Now, Sheriff Andy Taylor may have known all the citizens of Mayberry by their first names, but that's not realist nowadays, not even in Iowa. Under the new law, all permit applicants have to undergo a criminal background check and specified training requirements. Even then, the sheriff can still deny permit if he thinks that there is a problem with the applicant. The difference now is that the sheriff has to give the applicant a written statement explaining why the permit was denied, and the applicant can now appeal that decision if he feels it was unfair. What, I ask, is so scary about that? The second and final one I would like to dispel is the blood in the streets myth. Common belief that more private citizens with guns would lead to increased violence in the central and underlying myth that feeds the rest. Many Iowans are too engrossed in whether Vinny and Snooki are going to hook up to realize that shall issue is not some strange new law that fell out of outer space and landed in Iowa. 36 other states have passed similar laws. 3 states go even further and allow weapons to be carried with no permit required. Violent crime in the U.S. peaked in 1991. Since then, 24 states have adopted shall issue laws, and the number of privately owned firearms has risen by about 90 million. Now violent criminal rates, including murder, are at historic lows, and remarkably, accidental gun deaths are at historic lows as well. A comprehensive study by the University of Chicago showed that states which passed concealed carry laws reduced their murder rates by 8.5%, robbery by 3%, rape by 5%, and aggravated assault by 7%. I don't know if Iowa's will go down that much because we already have had limited concealed carry and fairly low crime rates to begin with. But it puts the lie to the idea that shall issue will drive violence up. While statistically rare, nothing can ever totally prevent some nut job from going on a shooting rampage like the one we saw, the assassination attempt in Arizona. But research suggests that concealed handgun laws reduce the likelihood of a multi-victim public shooting in a state by up to an incredible 70%. And when they do occur, they most often occur in gun-free zones where permit holders are forbidden to carry, like the Safeway in Arizona where those people were shot. I have a personal comment I would like to make. When I was younger, I was in a little bit of trouble. No jail time or anything, but I was involved with the law, and that was 15 years ago, 16 years ago. Since then, I've done a lot to straighten my life out. I take pride in being a law-abiding citizen, and I take pride in teaching my children and the friends around me about the laws that are at hand and making sure that they do their best to follow them. To be put in the same category as a criminal is offensive. And I believe that that's what these ordinances and these resolutions are doing, is they're putting law-abiding citizens that have been cleared by their sheriff's department to carry a firearm legally are being put in the same column as a criminal is. And like I said, I've been cleared by the sheriff to carry a firearm. I don't understand what gives the city reason to believe that I have become a criminal between the time that I've been issued my permit until today. Thank you for your time.
I'd like to start with these thoughts or comments on the resolution.
You start with me?
Sure.
The problem I have with it, you have kids that have a bow and arrow, goes into the park or something to play, or maybe practice or something. Well, that's a weapon. You could call a ball bat a weapon. And that's what the sheriff said the other night, that machete could be called a weapon, using to cut weeds or something. So it depends upon what you call a weapon. And I think that what's happening with this resolution, we're just creating more problems than we're doing good. Anybody that's an idiot, like happened in Arizona, you're not going to stop that with all kinds of laws. And the good guy's not going to come into a public building or on a park or something and shoot somebody. I mean, I think that's kind of the sheriff's job to, when he issues a permit, to weed out the bad guys. I think as you heard a lot on television, the problem is our communications between law bodies in the U.S. is not real good on tracking these people. I think that's something that hopefully Congress is going to do. They're going to implement some laws, and I think that's more good than us passing an ordinance, because I think it's just another thing to create more law problems. And it'll do more problem than does good. I read and studied that the other night and got thinking, well, there's so many things, and it just says weapons free. You don't say gun free, it says weapons. What do you consider a weapon? A 2x4 could be considered a weapon, right? I mean, anything you could go at. Where was it somebody beat somebody to death with a rock? So I don't think the law is clear like it should be, and I think it just would create problems. That's my opinion.
Rodney? Oh, I can't see the harm in having a sign saying it. It's just same with having a no smoking sign. I mean, it's going to carry about as much weight as a no smoking sign. And that's the individual business's alternative. Jay?
I think I think we better go a little slow working on this, because there's got to be a lot of things to be worked out. I think the government's got a few things to look at that should be done to maybe prevent this from happening in Arizona. And I mean, it's just like, it's kind of nervous sitting here by you with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one's soft though, baby.
I'll turn it around.
Okay. That's all I have.
Kevin?
I don't know why anybody has to have or thinks they have to have a weapon in a park. But right now, I'm not sure anybody knows what this law says. I'm completely in favor of passing this right now, but I think maybe we better let the legal system settle in a little bit on it. Like, I was listening to the radio the other day on one of the local radio stations, and they had the Johnson County Sheriff on there. He said they took the law that wasn't broken, fixed it, and now it's really broken. And I totally agree with him on that. So, but right now, I would say let's table it for a month or two and let the dust settle. But I would like to come back with something like this.
I agree. I think that some form or fashion should have something. I mean, there's rights. You don't let people walk onto a plane carrying a gun. So, there's a time and place for everything. So, I think, but I'd rather wait and see how some of this shakes out. And I know there's some other towns and counties that have already passed ordinances, and see how those, you know, treated.
Percent of their ordinances too.
Yeah.
What did the county, they passed
I
around?
don't think they did.
No, the counties are rescinding it.
They're rescinding and
Yes,
just going
they
back
are.
on their agenda.
I think
I knew you